This video marks the start of a whole new series of episodes that I originally was going to release after finishing my recapping 007 series. But because my first goal on Patreon was reached thanks to my supporters, this project was pushed forward in the schedule as a celebration, and these are the 25 amazing people that made that possible. They are the backbone of the channel that keep all the awesome content flowing thanks to their support and love that they have for the channel. Thanks a lot guys, you all really mean a lot. Now, on to the video.
Who are you?
My name's Bond.
Bond.
My name's Bond.
Bond.
Name's Bond.
James Bond.
James Bond. Charming, sophisticated secret agent. Shaken but not disturbed.
Ian Fleming's James Bond 007, one of the most celebrated characters in cinematic history. Only a small group of men were fortunate enough to step into the shoes that every man on Earth wishes to step in. More men have walked on the moon. As a Bond fan, ranking the Bond actors is nuts. It's not that far from picking your favorite parent, really. We each love these men in their own ways, so my number 5 wouldn't necessarily be worse than, say, my number 2 would be. So, in an attempt to make this difficult task slightly more doable, I gave the actors a score based on a combination of their acting skills, believability in fights and stunts, the way he uses his charms to get the chicks, and his believability as a cold-blooded killer. I also took a look at the humor and the overall James Bond look that the actor has. And yes, I'm just ranking the 6 actors that played Bond in the official series so far. So I'm not including Barry Nelson or David Niven or Woody Allen and Peter Sellers for that matter, mainly because, well, there's no contest really. So anyway, here we go.
Good morning. My name's Bond. James Bond.
In recapping episode 6, my review of Majesties, I made it no secret that I'm not a biggest fan of Lazenby as Bond. It's nothing personal really, I love George Lazenby himself. I think it's hilarious that he conned his way into becoming Bond and his main motive for that was to get laid with lots of girls. But his Bond just lacked a lot for me, and mainly in the acting department. In his defense though, he was someone with no acting experience whatsoever that had to follow up Sean Connery, who was a living legend at his prime time in the 60s, during times when no one even thought Bond could be played by someone else. It's not exactly easy to live up to that. I think Lazenby was pretty good with the fight scenes and physical stuff, and I still hold up that he did great in the romantic barn scene with Tracy and the emotional ending. But other than that, I'm sorry to say I find him extremely wooden and I'm constantly taken out of the movie because of that. It also doesn't help that he's dubbed for a large portion of the film when he's in his Hillary Bray cover. It's just so distracting. However, I do think Lazenby deserved another shot as he never really got a fair chance to begin with. I'm sure he could have grown in the role if he returned to do more Bond films. And even though a lot of casual fans see him as the forgotten black sheep of the Bonds, let me remind those people that even though he only did one Bond film, he is the only actor in the world that actually got to play Bond getting married and did so in an adaptation of what a lot of fans consider to be the best Fleming Bond novel.
Black Queen on the Red King, Miss.
Solitaire.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
Coming in at number 5 is the man that played Bond a total of 7 times and was the Bond to complete generations of fans. Roger Moore had forever proved to the world that there was life after Sean Connery and is still immensely popular. How did he do that? By playing Bond the exact opposite way, because Roger's Bond was far from a believable professional killer and is arguably the most opposite to the James Bond as envisioned by Ian Fleming. No one really bought that he could beat all these bad guys in a fight, and Roger preferred to leave all the stunt work to the stuntman, but happily did all the countless love scenes on his own. So what makes him so loved among fans? Well, it's the humor. Roger Moore delivers pure grade A entertainment with the biggest imaginable wink. He never took himself too serious and invites you to laugh with him. I mean, who else could charm a girl into bed and then have the villain's girlfriend drop in, quickly shove the first girl under the sheets while having a casual conversation with the other girl, while resting his elbow on the blankets the girl is under, making it even more obvious. And then he shoves her into a closet, has sex with the villain's girl, opens the closet the next day and says this.
Forgive me, darling. Your turn will come, I promise.
He's completely unorthodox in the most likable way. Roger Moore is fantastic. Most of his films are completely over the top, colorful and action-packed adventures that are entertaining, campy and in some instances completely ridiculous. But Roger forever set a definition of the eyebrow raise that we all desperately try to equal.
Thank you, Mr.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
At number 4 we have the James Bond that I grew up with, the Bond that is often critiqued for being too bland, playing it too much like Remington Steele and not adding anything new to the part. But let me tell you, Brosnan is the business. I have stated this before in my GoldenEye review, Brosnan has that quality that wasn't seen since the Connery days. That feeling of wishing to just be this guy, because he's just so smooth and cool as fuck. This slick guy may not be the most believable killer or fighter for that matter, but he brought back a fantasy element, the glamour and sheer fun of what James Bond is all about. I admit Brosnan wasn't lucky enough to star in great groundbreaking Bond films. Most of his movies have very generic scripts that offer little depth or room for character development, but at least with Brosnan, I completely buy that the girls would fall for his charms. I completely buy that he's the coolest guy in the room, and from the moment he is first seen in GoldenEye, I completely buy that this is James Bond that I'm looking at. Brosnan is able to combine all that made past Bond actors great into one fantastic cocktail and celebrate the character of James Bond in all his glory. Here is to the Bond of my generation.
Should call you back.
Who are you?
Bond, James Bond. Exercise Control 007 here. I'll report in an hour.
Won't you join me?
Better make that 2.
Much like George Lazenby, Timothy Dalton is often forgotten or overlooked by casual fans, and it's a shame because Dalton simply is one of the best Bonds of the series. Dalton took his job so serious that he read all the Fleming Bond novels as a preparation and brought Bond straight back into reality after all those years of Roger Moore's fantasy Bond movies. Dalton's Bond is a believable professional that can get the job done. You believe that he could win in a fight, you believe that he would be capable of killing in cold blood and pull off all the stunts, a lot of which he actually insisted to do by himself. At the same time, Dalton showed that Bond is a human and has flaws and an emotional side that made audiences emphasize. If there's one weakness that he has, it's the humor. The one-liners or jokes in his 2 movies are mainly there because we expect them to be there, but aren't anything special. But that's absolutely fine because Dalton manages to entertain you on a whole other level. In his two movies you get transported to a realistic and intriguing world in which you get to see one of the most interesting and complex James Bond performances in the series. And he is the one that stars in my personal favorite Bond film. So he may not be my personal favorite Bond, but he comes damn close. When Daniel Craig was announced to be the next James Bond, I was among the people that were very disappointed. How could they cast a blonde Bond? He doesn't have the James Bond look. This is a mistake. What were they thinking? And then came Casino Royale.
Hello?
Mr. White, we need to talk.
Who is this?
The name's Bond. James Bond.
And then Craig just blew everything out of the water and showed us that he is the modern day Bond in all his glory. He did what Dalton did 20 years earlier and made Bond realistic, dark and human, but went even deeper than was ever done before. Daniel Craig got a chance to show Bond's origins and explore how he became the character that we all know and love. He shows Bond's struggles with his ego, the pain and emotions that he goes through and formed him into the man that he is. He explores Bond's history and background and took us on a journey through some actual character development throughout all his films. We saw him grow from the young rookie who just earned his 00 status to the seasoned professional in the latest film. Craig shows that he's all-rounded and determined to get it right. He can do the incredibly funny and cunning jokes. He can do the misogyny and political incorrect side. He can pull off the physical side and make it all believable, and he can get you wishing to be as cool as he is. Daniel Craig is the closest thing to pretty much being the perfect Bond, and I sincerely hope to see him return in the tux in Bond 25. Of course, this was no surprise to anyone, and those who know me well were probably able to guess this before the end of the video, but I just can't make a ranking list and not have the one, the only, the original at the top.
I admire your courage, Miss...
Trench. Sylvia Trench. I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Sir Sean Connery is the complete and utter perfect package. To me, Connery will forever be the coolest guy on the planet, and he pretty much just oozed that level of suaveness and sheer confidence straight from his very first appearance. No man can watch his first scene in Dr. No and not think, damn, this son of a bitch is cool, I wish I could be that guy. His Bond set the standard and the template that all others try to live up to. Connery is damn suave. It's not a matter of believing that he could be this cool or confident or charming. This man just is. When you see the women fall for him, you know they really would have. When you see him enter a room, you know he really is one heck of a presence. Connery can do the ruthless side of the character. Connery can do the cunning humor and one-liners. He can do the physical and the fights. He made Bond the man all men just wanted to be and all women simply wanted to be with. Some people like to compare Connery to God, but I think that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, sure, he's good, but he's not Sean Connery. To me, Connery will forever be unrivaled and be sitting at the top, and I think he truly deserves that, because Sir Sean Connery simply is James Bond. Did you enjoy my first Ranking 007 episode and you just can't wait for new Bond content to come up to my channel? Well, support me on Patreon, become part of my community and get access to all my latest videos 2 weeks before the regular viewers get to see it, as well as access to a lot of awesome supporter rewards like having a monthly Skype call with me. You can find the link in the description and make sure you subscribe to my channel.